There are suggestions Iran could be attempting to rebuild its nuclear sites targeted by US airstrikes after exclusive satellite imagery was obtained by our colleagues at CNN. The activity raises questions as to whether Iran violated the Memorandum of Understanding it signed with the US back in late June.
This image, one of several shared exclusively with CNN, may show signs of Iran attempting to rebuild its nuclear facilities. This is one of several locations across the country where we've identified recent activity, both in nuclear and missile sites. The activity in nuclear sites in particular raises questions as to whether Iran violated the Memorandum of Understanding it signed with the US in late June, even before President Trump seemed to signal its end by launching fresh strikes. In it, Tehran had agreed not to procure or develop nuclear weapons. This site in Parchin is believed to be holding explosive material for nuclear weapons. Before the US-Israeli strikes, Iran built this concrete shield around it, a sign of its importance. It was then struck multiple times during the US-Israel bombing campaign this year. The targeting was precise. You could see the holes left behind by bunker-busting bombs. Now, in new imagery from June and July, analysed by CNN in conjunction with the Institute for Science and International Security, we can see Iran appeared to be taking steps to repair and reconstruct the site. You can see temporary covers placed over the impact holes. Then, weeks later, with the memorandum still in effect, the covers are removed and replaced with a mesh. Concrete mixing trucks are visible nearby. Experts say these trucks are a sign the Iranians are intending to seal the holes. For weeks, we've only had glimpses of what's been happening on the ground inside Iran. Providers have been withholding satellite imagery across the region at the request of the US government. Now, those restrictions are loosening, and we've been able to see new images across Iran of which sites they've started to clear and repair first, a sign, perhaps, of which they see as the most important. This is Pickaxe Mountain, another site where Iran is believed to be advancing its nuclear capabilities deep underground. And in recent weeks, vehicles could clearly be seen going in and out of the tunnels. Experts told CNN this was likely a violation of the terms signed with the US, which required Iran to maintain the status quo regarding their nuclear program. In contrast, other prominent nuclear sites did not seem to have been touched, like Isfahan here, Fordow here, and Natanz. There has been activity at some missile sites. The US and its allies have long been concerned about Tehran's missile capacity, and the latest imagery suggests Iran has already started repairing some storage sites. This is new paving laid out at Tabriz missile base in recent days. And at another missile base in Kermanshah, we can see excavators and tunnel entrances being cleared. Lastly, we've also spotted repairs at air bases in recent days. You can see a crater being filled in here at Tabriz Air Base. With the US resuming its attacks on Iran, a peace agreement is seeming increasingly out of reach.
And joining me live now is lecturer in global security at the University of South Florida and international affairs analyst, Dr. Arman Mahmoudian. Thank you so much for your time. What did you make of these revelations from CNN? And this is going to greatly anger the US at a really turbulent time, no doubt.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is a very complicated issue, specifically speaking, the way that Iranian has picked the sides to repair and reconstruct make it much more complicated. And there is a reason behind of that, because both of the sites, the Parchin site is not only a nuclear site, is also a missile site, is also a site that is under the control of Iran's defense ministry. And also the Paksilma site, the nuclear the facility that they showed, is the site that Iranian had been storing allegedly at least part of their highly enriched uranium. And these informations are very vital because Iran may want to play around the edges of the Memorandum of Understanding. The way that Iranian may want to push this agenda or the new narrative is that they are not actually violating the Memorandum of Understanding, since the Memorandum of Understanding doesn't put much of a constraint on Iran's missile program. So in the case of the Parchin, Iranian can always make an argument that they are repairing a site that also has functions for Iran's missile program, and they want to focus on that function since now on that side. On the POX side, they may also Iranian want to make an argument that per the discussions, at some point they have to deliver or dilute their highly enriched uranium, and that uranium being stored at that specific site. And in order for the Iranian to be able to get there, to take the uranium outside of it, they need to reconstruct. They basically need to open the way, because there are ruins and rambles over that area. They need to clear it out, and that's what they are doing it. In the absence of any verification system and IAEA inspectors, it's going to be very hard for us to see which direction is it, but it definitely doesn't help the current tension. It definitely doesn't help the de-escalation, and it may add to the suspicion of the Israelis and Americans, who have historically been skeptical about Iran's intention.
That's very interesting. So you say there's every chance that they're not breaking that MOU, they're skirting around it, potentially using those facilities or rebuilding at those facilities for other purposes. So what did you make of the MOU that was signed?
Well, that's a fundamental question, a fundamental problem here. MOU itself has a very vague language, because the article of the MOU that refers to Iran's nuclear project, aside the promise that Iranian made to not build any nuclear weapon, the only specific commitment that comes from the MOU is that the Iran's nuclear facilities and system and machinery would remain as it is, as in the status quo of the prior to the signature of the MOU, meaning that Iranian wouldn't make any advancement to it. Now, that makes things very hard and difficult now, because while the image and satellite photos shows there is a reconstruction in that area, but usually nuclear sites are something much more complicated than a facility and a construction. They require a specific machinery, they require centrifuges, reactor, or other source of the materials. So Iranian first can make an argument that we are just rebuilding the facility, because the facility and the construction itself must be cleared. And second, we are doing this in order to enable our future commitment, because the United States and international community wants the highly enriched uranium and also thousands of the kilograms of the other nuclear materials. It's not only about highly enriched uranium, it's also about other nuclear materials that Iran has, and at some point it has to at least present it to the IAEA and inspectors for the verification. Iran always can make that claim that this reconstruction is not to recover its nuclear facilities, but to enable itself to fulfill the commitment, to pave the ground for the IAEA verification. And it's going to be very hard to judge it at this point, because again, there is no third party on the ground. We have no international entity to actually inspect these sites from the directly. All information that we have is surface information from the satellites that just shows the surface of these facilities, but doesn't show any development actually going out on inside the facilities. And that's what matters the most. What is happening under these roofs, what is happening behind that mountains. That is the main thing.
Certainly won't help relations. We're hearing the US president say that the ceasefire with Iran is well and truly off, but he expects that fresh talks will be taking place. When is this likely to happen?
Well, we have to wait and see. I think there are some indicators that it shows it's happening or it's not going to happen. The first indicator that at least I personally am watching is that the situation is Strait of the Hormuz. If the cargoes can continue the increase, if we witness any increase of the travels and transformation of the cargoes through the Strait of the Hormuz, it indicates that there are some talks behind the scenes, some connections, some mediations. There was also reports that there is going to be a four-way call between Iran, United States, Pakistan, and Qatar. We have to wait and observe that too. I think the first step that we will see in a diplomatic maneuvering is going to be Iranian officials meeting in person with either the Pakistani or Qatari officials, and the Americans meeting with the representative of Qatar and Pakistan, because throughout this war and these talks, that's how every stage of the diplomatic talks began. They first meet with the mediators, they gave their demands, they gave their responses, and if they see a room for the meeting, then they proceed. So we have to wait, also see and have an eye on the diplomatic development between these countries and Iran and United States independently and bilaterally.
We'll wait to see. Dr. Mahmoudian, thank you so much for your time. Talk soon.
Thank you for inviting me.